Okay, so on this problem, we've got two fractions multiplied. And so when we're multiplying fractions, we don't have to get common denominators. Don't have to make the bottoms the same, so that's great. Okay, so what we do instead is we just start cross-canceling, right? So I'm just going to cancel x squared and x squared, x and x. Is that okay? The answer is no. I hope you're like, no way, Ms. Taryn, and that's right. We can't do that. Why not? We cannot cancel added, subtracted items, remember? Let me write that up here for us. We cannot cancel added, subtracted items. You can't cancel things that are added and subtracted, only multiplied. Only cancel multiplied items, huh? Right? And you can see it with numbers. If I go 2 plus 4 divided by 2, that's really 6 over 2. That's really 3. See, if we cancel the 2's, it's just wrong now. It's just not true, is it? So whereas if it was times, it'd really be 8 over 2, which is really 4. Now you can see it's okay to cancel the 2. So anyway, long story short, you cannot cancel those added, subtracted items. So what do you do then? You have to factor. You have to make them multiply. That's called factoring. That's called factoring. So I come on down and I go, okay, I'm going to factor these things. So what do I mean factor? Well, how are you doing on so step one, factor, because factoring makes it multiplied. Now, what do I mean factor? Well, whenever you factor, the first step, first you ask, is there anything, yes, so we're on factoring. First you say, is there anything common? And if there is, you put the GCF, put the part they have in common, and do one parenthesis. Now, we don't have anything in common on this one, but we will on other ones. I just want to get you in a good habit, right? Look here. What do I mean there's nothing? Well, look at x squared and 100. Do they have anything in common? No, right? If the 100 had an x, then I would go, oh, yeah, they both have an x, so take an x out. That would leave x minus 100. You know what I mean? Because that x could go back, x squared minus 100x. That's what I would do if they both had an x. Or if they both had a number. What if this was like 2x squared minus 100? Then I go, oh yeah, they both have a 2 goes into both of them. I put a 2 in the front, it would be x squared minus 50, because 2 times x squared would go back to 2x squared, 2 times 50 would go back to 100, huh? So if they had a number in common, they both had a 2 or something, or if they both had an x, then I would do this step where, hey, take out what's in common, do the one parenthesis step, but they don't have that. So, well, then what do you do when they don't have that? Well, second, if they don't have anything in common, excuse me, you go right to the 2 parentheses. So you go right to the 2 parentheses. So how do you do that? Well, remember, it's multiply on the bottom here. It's multiply, add, multiply. Remember how the 3 terms go? Multiply, add, multiply. And by the way, those 3 don't have anything in common either, do they? If that 60 at the back had an x, then I would say, hey, they all have an x. Take it out, it's in common, but they don't. On the top, it's just multiply, multiply. Because there's no middle term. So I'm just going to go, okay. So on the top, 2 parentheses. What multiplies to be x squared? X times x. What multiplies to be 100? 10 times 10. How do you get minus 100? 1 positive, 1 negative 10, huh? Plus 10 times minus 10 makes minus 100. And then on the bottom, we've got something a little more complex. So they got to multiply to be x squared. So that's going to be x times x again. They got to multiply to be 60 and somehow add to be minus 4. How can you do that? What multiplies to be 60? I'll take it over here on the side. What multiplies to equal 60? Well, just take your calculator, take 60 and divide by things. You'll probably come up with it right away. 6 times 10, huh? There's other things. It could be like 3 times 20 or 4 times 15 or 2 times 30 or 1 times 60. But 6 times 10 is the pair we want. Why? All those other ones multiply to be 60 also. How do I know I want 6 and 10? Well, because they have to add to be -4. Remember how that works? Whatever sign is in the middle goes on the bigger number, doesn't it? See how the negative in the middle goes on the 10? The sign in the middle goes on the bigger number. Remember that? So -10 plus 6, right? Think about gaining and losing weight. If you lose 10 pounds and you gain back 6, you lost 4 pounds, right? They add up to be -4, and they multiply 6 times -10 to be -16. Huh? So there we go. Okay. Now, what about the other one? Well, that just comes down, x plus 6 and 5x. Those can't factor. And now we're ready to cross cancel. You see how we're going to cross cancel? See what's going to happen? X plus 6 is canceling x plus 6. And x minus 10 is canceling x minus 10. Now you might say, wait a minute, sir, those are added, subtracted items. No, I'm buying the whole package, right? It's like shopping at Costco. Adding, subtracting glues things together. You can buy the whole package, and I just bought the whole package. So what are we left with? X plus 10 on the top over 5x on the bottom. You don't need the parentheses around the x plus 10 anymore because there's nothing to separate it from on the top anymore. The rest of the top stuff is now gone, right? This x minus 10 is canceled. These x plus 6 is canceled. See how we cancel straight up and down and diagonally. Doesn't matter. Top to bottom anywhere. Straight up and down or diagonally. And then just bring down the leftovers. X plus 10 on the top. 5x on the bottom. Can I cancel any more like x and x? No, remember you cannot cancel added, subtracted items. Only multiplied items. See how I can't see when we factored, that made them times, right? These parentheses mean times. That's what factoring does. When you factor, you make them times, and then you can cancel. So there we go. There's our answer.